Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Ancient City Craft Works and Learning Handtool Woodworking, coming to you from the oldest city in America. So today we're going to be working on exercise 12, which is out of order. If you remember, I think the last one we did was exercise 8, but that was edge planing a board. We are now jumping to exercise 12, which is face planing, and there's a couple of exercises in between. But the reason I'm mixing it up is I'd really like to use this piece of wood. And if you remember, this is the same piece of wood I did for the edge planing to fully dimension a board. Now, the reason I'm really intrigued by this is I've never actually dimensioned a board from rough lumber into a usable piece of wood that could be put into a project. I have face planed, I have edge planed, all that stuff, but I've never taken it through all the steps to dimension a board. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to work on that, try and get this board flat on the top. And that's really where we should have started. Edge planing comes second. First of all, you want to get a nice flat board across the top. Then you'll get a second edge that is perfectly flat, perfectly perpendicular, and these become your reference surfaces, which you can then use to dimension the other side. So you can see, got a lot of work to do here. This one's really rough. This edge hasn't been touched at all, but even the side that we did work on is not perpendicular. It's not square. So just a lot of effort is going to have to go into this thing. So let's take a look at the book. And the original audio cut out as I was making this video, so the manner of execution is really the same as number 8. And if you remember, number 8 was the edge planing, so I actually got that number right. Edge planing, the surface is narrower than the iron. Okay, so now we're doing face planing, which means the surface is broader than the iron. A little bit more difficulty that you got to do the entire surface. The wooden plane up here, which my triplane still is not functional because the iron is just a lot of work got to be done there. But we are going to be using the Stanley number 5, which is Stanley's answer to the wooden triplane. So first of all, we can take our plane. If you've got a Stanley or other model metal plane, these edges right along here are absolutely true. Now, when you first get it, you may have to do some flattening and things like that, but this is a very good measuring line, if you will. So you lay the plane across the board and you look for gaps. Now, it actually helps if you're in a dark area that you can hold it up to the light and look for gaps of light and things like that. This board is so far out of flat that even without doing that, I can see that we got a high spot right here because the plane begins to rock. So you'll want to do it that way, you want to do it this way, and that will give you an answer. So what is this winding sticks or winding lathes, as they're called? Let me switch over to a different camera and maybe we can get a better look at it. I do not have true winding sticks. I've never made a pair of winding sticks, but basically all they are is two pieces of wood that are perfectly parallel to another. So what I did is I just took this dimension piece of walnut, I think it's Peruvian walnut, pulled it out of my scrap bucket. So not absolutely sure what it is. This was perfectly square, cut it in half, so now I have two identical pieces. And that's really all that a winding stick has to be. Now, I say that, and I act like I know what I'm talking about, but this is the first time I've ever done this. So that's another thing that this is why I like this series so much. Man, I'm getting into things that I've never done before. I've seen other people do it, read some things, some videos and things like that. So a winding stick just goes on the board. You put one on each end. And let me pull the camera around a little bit. So I don't know if you can see this, if I can get it lined up exactly right. All right. So you see how this edge down here is sticking up? Okay. Come down to from the other end. We do the same exercise. See if we can get down. It's kind of tough to do this with a camera. So you see this corner is high. So between the two sticks, I see I've got a high spot here and a high spot here, which means we got a little bit of a twist in the board. Exactly what we were expecting, and it's the same thing we saw when we put the Stanley on there. All right, so now these are small pieces, good for small boards. If you're going to do wider pieces, you're going to need longer winding sticks, but the process is exactly the same. Get two pieces that are identical, lay them at either end, you're good to go. All right, did you notice that I put the winding sticks here and here? There is a reason for that, and it's really because of time more than anything else. So let's go back to this other camera here. Maybe this is a better angle. All right, just for the sake of time, we are not going to be able to get this board perfectly flat because I only have 30 minutes to do this. So if you notice here, when I was splitting out this board, because the grain is starting to dip, so we're getting some changing grain pattern, the gap here is pretty deep. So there's going to be a lot of work to get this done. I also have some bug holes here. Now, bug holes don't bother me so much. I don't know how deep they are. They are not coming all the way through. But once I get it flat, I may have to fill the bug holes with some CA glue or something like that. So those don't bother me, but there's going to be a lot of planing to get these things done. Over on this end, we have a little bit smaller of a gap where the wood split. But again, that one's not too terrible. So I don't know if I'm going to have time to get that out or not during the course of this. So what we're really going to focus on is this area right here. All right. If I can get this area flat, that'll be a good demonstration, and then we'll work on the others. All right. What is this thing right here? This is, can I take a closer look at that? This is a planing stop. Again, this is brand new for me because I have never used a planing stop before. I've watched other people do it, and this works very well. This particular one comes from Compass Rose Tools, small company based out of Ohio. And my bench top, if you look at my overall bench top, it's pretty small. And I do that on purpose because the work I do is small. I don't need a really big bench. So I have this piece that clamps into the vise, clamps into my face vise. We'll see how that goes. Again, I've never used a planing stop before, but we'll see. We'll see how that works. So to use a planing stop, you take your piece of wood, put it in nice and firm there. All right, it is putting marks here on the end. So when we get down to the end, that's got to go away. But this end isn't true anyway, so we've got to go. Put it in nice and firm there. Take your plane, and before we get started, let me get that pencil out of the way. I'm gonna dab it with a little bit of wax. This seems to be a big controversy in woodworking circles. Some people love the idea, other people think it's crazy. Let me know what you think. What is your experience with using some kind of lubricant on your metal planes? If you look at Paul Sellers, if you watch what he does, he has what he calls a rag in a can oiler, where he takes a rag, stuffs it into a can, and then soaks it in 3-in-1 oil, uses that on the bottom of his plane. Rob Cosman uses something that looks like a crazy glue stick, but it's actually a wax combination. Puts that on there. Both those guys claim that it makes no impact on your finish whatsoever, but I would actually love to hear what you have to say about that. So we got high spots here, high spots here. So let's start working over on this end. All right, I'm taking some pretty aggressive shavings there. All right, I'm going to stop here for a second and tell you one of the things that has bothered me about getting a planing stop is my natural tendency as I'm doing this is to push until I get to the end, get the iron past the wood, but you can see the back end is still on the board, and then come backwards. Okay, boom. And when you do that, what happens? The board slides away from the planing stop. Even that, see? So that's one of the reasons I'm not sure I'm gonna like this, but that's because of my technique. The proper technique is to push all the way through and almost look like you're taking off. You got to get the iron past the end of the wood and then lift up a little bit. Come back, make sure your iron is behind, push forward again. All right. Still taking big shavings here in this corner. Haven't even come anywhere close to touching that yet. So mix it up a little bit. This holly, by the way, this is American holly. If you watched the last video, absolutely gorgeous wood. I just love it when it gets that plain. Okay, I backed the iron off a little bit because I think I was taking a little bit too heavy there. Yeah, that's a nice thinner shaving. Moving through the plane a little bit better. Or moving through the wood a little better. Now getting some fuller shavings. I tell you, this is a good cardio workout. I don't know if you can see this, but like every third stroke, I'm coming back like this and then jamming it back in. Gotta work on that technique. Push all the way through. All the way through. Push all the way through. All right, I got a big chunk of this corner out. Haven't even touched it. Not even coming close to that. So one of the things when I listen to guys like Paul Sellers, and Rob Cosman, you know, they say if your irons are sharp enough, see how I'm catching there? All right. I know I've done a lot of discussions about this, but I got a changing grain pattern right here. So the grain is rising, and then all of a sudden it starts falling. That's why I'm starting to get some pushback there. We can come in from the other side. See, that's my high spot there. So, you know, taking off a lot of meat there, but over here, not taking off nearly as much. Now, I'll be honest, I do not consider myself anywhere close to being an expert in sharpening. I don't think my iron is nearly as sharp as it can be. It's as sharp as I can make it right now. I need to do more practice, get better at my overall sharpening. But sharpening is a technique that we all need to be good at. If you're going to do hand tools, you've got to be good at sharpening. Come all the way back. Full strokes. Full strokes. All right, full strokes. I can feel a little bit of a ridge here, so I've come down on this side, come down, but something's going on in the middle. And when I stroke just in the middle, that's the only place getting a shaving right now. Woo! Just threw shavings all over my keyboard. Hey. Froze up there for a second, so hope everything is back on track. Okay. Let's just take a peek, see how we're doing. Okay, this end, which was rocking, you remember I was getting a good rock there, that is pretty solid now. Come down. So far, so good. Okay, haven't done a whole lot on this end because this was the deep end, but this one is still out of whack. All right, so just to be sure, let's hold it up to the light and run. All right, I'm still seeing a little bit of light come through, and it's mainly because of this center section. All right, put that in there. Let's see if we can work on the middle a little bit. Hey, no need to go to the gym for an upper body workout when you got a Stanley number 5 in the shop, or even a Stanley number 4. Okay, now that shaving is much broader going across the middle. Still not a full shaving, but much broader. There we go. Hold it up to the light. All right. I got the middle down. Now this edge right here needs just a light touch. Maybe 1 or 2 strokes. Hold it to the light, looking good. Oh, it's much less light, so we are really, really close. So this is where some people would actually switch to a like a number 4 to do their smoothing operations. The blade on this one is really set pretty fine. There's no camber in it. So I really have it set more as a smoother than a jack plane. All right, we're at 21 minutes so far. This end down here, which I showed you that whole tear out area, that's gone. Feeling what if this came off a regular plane or an electric planer, I would actually call this a little bit of snipe. So I get a little bit of downward pressure there. So I must have pushed down as I was going off. So as you're doing it, start pressure on the front, push, and as you do that, kind of switch so that you have even pressure, and then when you get to the end, light pressure, heavy pressure here. So you got to learn this dance, and I'm not very good at the dance. But once you get practiced at it, I think all right, let's check it one more time. Good, 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 good. Not perfect. Perfect at this end. Right here. Right here. I mean, it's close. It is really close. So let's see, back the iron off. Back it off even more. I want just a tiny, tiny little. So I backed the iron all the way off, and now I'm coming back in for those real light final strokes. Whew. That was a full bite there. All right. I think I did pretty good for my first dimensioning of a board. So let's come in for a closer look here. I don't think the light really picks it up. So down here, we still got this tear out. It's a lot less, but still, we just didn't have time to get into that. You look right here. It's hard to see when you're looking at the wood, but the camera actually picks it up very nicely. I got a couple of plane marks here. Plane marks there. And I mean, that's the biggest issue there. So we'll go back in with a nice tight, let's see. Right here, what is this? A little bit of tear out there. All right. Because I was going against the grain. Right here in the middle, the grain changes direction. So if you're coming in from this direction, this way, I got rising grain, so I'm going with the grain, changes direction right here, going against the grain. Flip the wood over. Now, this is rising grain, this is falling grain. So I really should be planing to the middle and then flipping the board. So let's see what I can do about getting rid of those marks by, oh, let's see. Nice wispy shavings. I like that. Still got some plane marks there. Woo. All right, friends, I gotta tell you, I haven't figured out this planing stop yet. Not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I haven't figured it out yet. So we're gonna have to do some more work there. And because it's the first time I've ever done it, I guess, or first time I've ever used a planing stop, that's probably the reason why it's given me trouble. Ooh, sorry about that. I know that was probably a little loud. All right, friends, we are coming up to the end here. I'm very pleased with this. The chatoyance that's coming out of this thing is it's beautiful. Beautiful piece of holly. I'd never worked with holly before. Like I said, this piece came out of a hurricane. This came down in a hurricane, so I get to use that, and just beautiful. I can't wait to see. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know, but it's going to turn into something beautiful, I think. I hope, at least. All right, so friends, thanks for sticking with me, especially if you've made it all the way to the end. I really appreciate that. I'm learning a lot here. Hope you're learning a lot as well. So until next time, take care. God bless.